Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the final day of International Education Week here at AFS. Today, we're presenting to you the Gen Z and Global Education, a panel on the transformational power of intercultural exchange. Let's do a little recap on some instructions for this session. As this is a webinar setting, your camera and microphone are closed, but you can still interact. The Q&A box is enabled, so feel free to send your questions, and hopefully we're going to have some time at the end of this panel, by the end of this panel, to revisit these questions with our panelists. You can use reactions to interact and engage. Closed captions are available, and any AI note-taking apps are not allowed, and this one will be disabled. And just for your information, this session is being recorded. We're going to start with some introductions. Then we're going to visit some generational patterns very briefly to frame the conversation that we're going to have with our panelists. We're going to open the panel, and then at the end, hopefully we're going to have some time for some Q&A from the audience. I will be your moderator today. My name is Facundo Mendez. I am the sponsor program specialist for AFS Intercultural programs. I am based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The world needs more active global citizens, and AFS helps create them. Over the past years, increased interconnectedness has opened new ways for people to learn, communicate, and collaborate across borders. At the same time, we're also seeing rising global inequalities, polarization, and conflicts that make meaningful intercultural engagement more important than ever. And this is exactly where today's generation play a powerful role. As the world becomes more complex, we need a larger, more prepared, and more engaged community of interculturally competent global citizens, people who can navigate differences with curiosity, empathy, and purpose. With that in mind, I am very excited to have with us three Gen Z voices who truly represent this shift. They participated in the AFS Global STEM Changemakers Initiative, a program designed to support young leaders who think globally and act locally. Then they became AFS Alumni mentors and also AFS facilitators. Their experience gives us a window into how Gen Z engages with global learning, what motivates them, and how these exchanges shape not just what they learn, but also who they become. I would like to introduce Danish, Jana, and Mariana, and I'll pass the mic to each of you to introduce yourself.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone. My name is Danish Khan, and I am currently hailing from the south side of India, from a beautiful coastal city called Chennai. I'm currently studying my computer science and engineering undergraduate degree, and I'm currently in my third year. I embarked on the AFS Global STEM Changemakers Academies in 2023, where I got to embark on the exchange program to Houston, Texas on a full scholarship. And ever since I have been back with AFS, I have been a passionate volunteer. I started out, like Facu just mentioned, about being an alumni mentor, now a facilitator, and I'm also a proud volunteer at my local chapter here in Chennai. So yeah, that's it from me. I'll pass it over now to Jana.
Thank you, Danish. My name is Jana Saber, and I'm based in Cairo, Egypt. I'm currently a first-year university student. I'm completing my undergraduate in medicine and surgery. And I started with AFS as an AFS accelerator scholar. I did my program in 2023. And like Danish, I was also a mentor and now facilitator. I'll pass it over to Mariana. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for you too. And hi, everyone. It is an honor for being here. And yes, my name is Mariana Morgan. I'm from Mexico. I was born in the South, now living in the North, pursuing an international businesses degree. And as the same, again, I met IFS and I fell in love with it in 2023. I started in the IFS Global STEM program, in which I visited this really beautiful city that Jana was born, which was Cairo, Egypt. And again, I went a mentor and now a proud facilitator. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, all three of you, for introducing yourself and also for accepting being part of this panel. We're very, very honored to have you all three in this panel, but also we're very, very happy to count with you as alumni and also as AFS facilitators. So thank you very much for joining us also today. I would like to start a conversation with a very simple idea. No generation grows up in the same world. The world millennials grew up is very different to the one shaping Gen Z today. And the one Gen Alpha is entering will also be very different again. And these shifts show up in how young people search for opportunities, what they expect from global education, and even how they define transformation. We're going to visit some generational patterns from both millennials and Gen Z just to frame the conversation and the discussion that we're going to have with our panelists. These generational patterns are based on insights from the DA Global Impact Regional Summit earlier this year in Barcelona. Millennials, they look for self-growth, global citizenship, and resume building. The study abroad was often seen as a once-in-a-lifetime immersion, learning new languages, expanding horizons, and living something transformative. When looking for opportunities, they'll typically focus on university brochures, on university websites, program brochures, and peer reviews. They were comparison-driven. They were very influenced by parents and also faculty advisors, and they tended to choose longer structured programs with a strong cultural or linguistic immersion. When it comes to Gen Z, they prioritize practical outcomes, career relevance, and social impact. A study abroad fits into a larger strategy for employability or activism, not just personal development. They trust real student experiences, social proof, and influencers. And they prefer flexible, short-term, hybrid, or customizable programs. Generational patterns only become meaningful when we connect them to real people. So that's why I really would like to turn it to our panelists, the people who actually went through this shift. And I would like to open the discussion with a very first question to all of our three Gen Z panelists. Thinking back to your own search for opportunities, what made you stop and say, this is for me? And how do you think young people today decide what to say yes or no to, especially when they're trying to figure out which opportunities they can actually trust? And if you can start, Mariana? Yeah.
Yes, Facu. I think I would really love to open this conversation because really funny, my story or my background was really connected to this exact question. So for being really brief, I was born in the South. So there, in a really sad way, but I have to say it, I was born in Chiapas. But this city is one of the poorest here in Mexico. So for me, it wouldn't be something real for for the opportunity to knock my door. I needed to go outside and such, until I found a window to sneak into. Since 2022 or 2021, around that, I was 15. Now, by the way, I'm 19. At that time, I was just searching for opportunities and, post-pandemic, until that everything works with algorithm. So I was first searching in Google, as everyone who starts searching something, until all my algorithm changes. So I was searching for scholarships, and for example, it does the same as when we search, for example, for a washing machine in Facebook. It appears to us in Instagram, in TikTok, in Twitter, in all of the places. So I was searching for these opportunities until, my TikTok changes. Yes, TikTok. I changed my life through a TikTok video. So it is hilarious, because it is a platform where you can find, cooking recipes or, some other things. I literally changed my life because I met IFS by then. And just, for being really brief, it wasn't an IFS account to be, precisely. It was a Mexican girl who was telling about her 2021 experience. And he went to Egypt. And so I was looking at that video and I just came to my mother and I say, look at the video, here's an opportunity. I think I want to apply. And she was like, yeah. Because she was like really used to on hearing about myself, sneaking into every opportunity that appears. So I went there, I applied, and 2 months later, I received a letter back, that congratulations, you were selected and you're going to Egypt. At that time, I went with my mother and I said, look, I think I'm going to Egypt. And she started freaking out. She started like, oh my God, we got scammed. That was the first, my mother is on my lane, by the way. She was like, we got scammed. You put all your information, your passport number, all the things there. We got scammed. At that time, it's really funny. I got an uncle that works in cybersecurity. At that sad moment, the first thing that my mom did was to call my uncle and said, "Oh my God, this is an organization. I think we got scammed. They got all the information, all the things. What are we going to do?" At the time, my uncle, made the research, and not at all. IFS, it was a really trustworthy organization. And, at the end, I went to all that adventure. So just, all that I'm telling is for you to, or for I can share that what does I look at that video, Why did I choose to apply to that scholarship, to that opportunity? Because it existed, a lot of others videos in TikTok or in other opportunities in another social media. And why did I trust her? Because it was just a random girl. I think that I want to say 3 exact things. The first one will be transparency. Transparency, not honesty, because honesty sometimes make, saying the truth, but not being transparent about the good and the part things. Because, for example, now that we hear from social media, I think that if we hear something that it's telling, about, for example, in a scholarship, and it's everything and only the good part, it wouldn't be trustful. I want to know the good and the part and the bad part, because that's the way I can say, oh, okay, so there's a good side and a bad side, and I can consider myself into that opportunity. Another thing is that maybe to be, trustful, I connected to, because it was a girl from my country. That is another thing. And obviously, for being a real person, because I checked in her account and she was a normal girl. It wasn't a girl who was like working in an advertising company or something like that. It was a girl who has a daily life. And I said, okay, so she's a real girl. I'm a really good girl. I can do it. So that's the maybe 3 things that's why I say yes to that opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mariana, for sharing. That's an incredible experience and a very relatable one as well for many young students who are also looking for opportunities nowadays. Anyone would like to add a comment on this? You're welcome to.
Yeah. And I think I can contrast off of what Mariana just said, right? She had a very the Gen Z version of getting exposed to this opportunity. I had a rather traditional way of getting exposed to this opportunity. Speaking about my own experience, this opportunity was actually it came through my school, because my school was a part of AFS India's member schools program, and they get all the information about all the exchange programs that happen. And that's how I initially found out about the opportunity. I previously had the experience of working on projects focused on sustainability, and I also had experience studying in a diverse school. The school that I had studied until I was in 10th grade was in an army school. And in that school, we had students from all over the country, who all had postings, who all had to go to different parts of the country. And we all used to, study in the same school, and we learned a lot about diversity there. And I think that's what really felt motivating for me to apply to this opportunity. This was okay, this is something that I've already done, and this is something that I can learn more about, intercultural exposure and STEM, both of which I'm really passionate about. But when it comes to, young people deciding what to say yes or no to, I think the answer here is twofold, I would say. Let's take 2 examples here. All right. So the first example is a student from a very affluent school, right? They're in a very affluent school, they're an international school, and they are exposed to various different such opportunities. But for them, it may just be one of many such opportunities that they may get exposed to. And for them, it could be just that, as much as it is as an experience, something fun to do. It is I think it could be more prioritized as something that they could add to their resume and take it forward in their life, right? But taking the second example, so let's say if a student from a school which is not so affluent, these are the opportunities, you would consider once in a lifetime or one of a kind, right? And over there, it's not just about adding something to the resume. Sure, people would definitely be doing that, but for them, it's something new, something different, something beyond just what they learn in their school, and something new to do. And I think that's why people, really decide if should I be doing this? Should I be applying for this opportunity? And answering the latter part of the question, how do people trust? How do Gen Z trust an organization, whether if that program is genuine? And like Mariana just said about how initially their family felt it was a bit of a scam, right? But I think in my personal experience, the first thing that I had done as soon as I found out about the opportunity was I went to their socials. I went to AFS's social media pages, especially Instagram. And I checked out, like, what do they do? Have they been doing this a long time? Have they been doing this successfully? And then when I, looked into all of the different posts, then I started realizing, and then I started building trust. And the same goes for even, I even sent this out to my parents, and I told them, okay, they have been doing this for so and so long. And for them, it was something, obviously, for them, it's completely different, right? Something new for them. And I told them they have been doing this, and then they slowly started building trust. And I think, it doesn't really matter what type of, content they make on social media, as long as it's like relatable to the Generation Z. You could probably get to, Gen Z trusting you for whatever you do. And obviously it goes without saying that better content always leads to, better expression of interest. But regardless, I think that's where Gen Z really builds upon trust, is they, check your social media and see if you have been doing this well, and see if you've been doing this long. And finally, I think I would also like to add how Mariana mentioned about the girl that also spoke about, not just the good side, but also the flip side of it, right? And I think showing vulnerability can also be beneficial, because you are using that as a learning experience, right? You're saying that, okay, I was in a different country, and I learned so many different things. It was, in the beginning, it was really frightening for me. But then you're talking about how, you slowly overcame that fear, and you slowly started learning about different cultures and how to, what are the different cultural value dimensions and everything, right? So when you build off on that vulnerability as something that you learn something from, and something that you overcame, I think that also shows, how an opportunity can help you learn, and not just show just the good side of it. So I think I will also now like to pass it off to Jana to add on more to that.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Danish.
Danish.
So my experience on how I first came across AFS is kind of a mix of Mariana's and Danish's experience. So I heard about AFS from one of my friends, and my friend heard about it from his school. So it was kind of a mix. He told me about this program, and we both went and applied, but I actually got rejected from the AFS Global STEM Academies. And then I applied to the accelerators program, and I got accepted to that. And I feel like when people look for opportunities, like young people from our generation look for opportunities, they try to look for real people who went through these opportunities, like Mariana mentioned. So after I heard about it from my friend, I went online to like search and see what are people's experiences with this type of program. And I found really great things. People were posting about it on their Instagrams, their LinkedIn. And I feel like what's most important, like Mariana mentioned, is that that person is real. There's someone I can relate to. They're someone that is my age. Maybe they're still in high school, just like me. And when I first came across this opportunity, it was my first time ever like doing any program like that. I hadn't like done any volunteering. I hadn't had any other experiences. And I actually was not aware that these like opportunities existed. I thought that those things are things you do after university, because in my school, they were not very active in that department. Like they did not share with us these types of programs. And I only heard about it from my friend that went to another school. So when I discovered that, I felt like it opened like a door to me when I went online and found all these people that did this program. I then found out about other opportunities. And now that I got more experience and, I did multiple programs, I feel like what I look for in an opportunity is what comes next. In AFS, when you do a program, when we did the global STEM programs, any global STEM program, you become an alumni. You become part of this like big community of alumni. You can become a mentor. You can even apply to the youth assembly on a scholarship. So I feel like one of the most important thing that our generation looks for is what comes next. It's not just an opportunity and that's it. You want to look you want to look for what comes next. Like, what is the next step? Is it a part of something bigger? Like you see, we were all part of the program in 2023 and we're still here. So yeah.
We're very, very happy that you all are here with us. Thank you all for sharing your experiences. They're so diverse, and as Danish mentioned, they're like so kind of different on your own touch, let's say, also on your generation and on your own context and backgrounds. I am taking the transparency, I think, also when searching for opportunities, when hearing from people how relatable it is. But at the same time, how important it is to not just be something that you as Gen Z search for, find on online, but also like your parents that come from a different generation. It's also like about them trusting the opportunity and trusting the organization. So it's kind of like a team play here with you and your parents as well. And just a very small comment I relay, but at the same time, it's kind of different generational. I first found AFS in 2014 on Facebook, not on TikTok. Back then, the platform that we used was Facebook. So I'm really happy to see how also social networks are kind of like evolving, but kind of the patterns remains the same. Thank you very much for sharing. And it's also a very follow-up question. Now that you search for opportunities, you found it, you went abroad, but in this world where previous generation, as we mentioned, used technology mainly as a tool, experiencing global learning with far less digital connection around them than what we have today, how do you think growing up in a hyper-connected world influenced the way you build intercultural relationships, learn abroad, and experience global programs like the ones that you joined? Who would like to start with this question, Danish?
I'll go for it. So I think I'd like to draw a comparison between my parents and myself for this one. So my parents, they belong to the generation boomers, right? They were born in the 1960s to 1965, and that really contrasts the difference, right? I am someone who is a Gen Z. I was born in 2005, and they were just born in 1960s. So when you talk about like people, millennials and boomer generation, and everyone who wants to pursue such opportunities, for them it was just once in a lifetime opportunity, because this was something that came around once in a while, and if they got to do it, it was a really big deal. But for us, being very frank, it's a very competitive world out there for us, and I think because of which we are very value driven more than ever before. Due to us being really hyper connected, there's information gets passed through very quickly. People want to do the next best thing out there, and they want to be the next best person out there. And I think that really goes to show that we are more than, for us it's more than just a once in a lifetime opportunity, right? And due to us being really hyper connected, when building intercultural relationships, I think there's more sense of a relatability. We grow up within the internet culture, and we are chronically active, right? Be it Instagram or any sort of a social media or even just the internet in general. And, speaking from my very own experience, when I embarked on the program, I would say that it didn't really feel as difficult to connect with people. There are obviously many factors to this because in our program, before we did the in-person program, we had an online 3 months, facilitated dialogue session. So that made it a bit easier. But then again, because we are hyper-connected and because we, live in the internet culture, we are all, we all have something to talk about, right? We all have something common to talk about, ponder thoughts over and have healthy debates on important issues. And I think all of that is because we are hyper connected. And, if you had to take the same scenario for someone who is from, the generations before us, I think for them, it would be a bit different, while they did have, a general knowledge of the world and the knowledge all around the world. Obviously they were not as hyper connected as we are, and for them it would have obviously been a bit different. I think because we are hyper connected, for us it's a bit more easier to build intercultural relationships, learn from it, and then experience global programs. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Danish. Jana?
I totally agree with the fact that it's definitely, I think, easier for us to connect because we can find something to always talk about. And I think because we grew as a generation that is very active on social media, it's very hard to find someone from our generation that is not on social media. We are very exposed to diversity and people who are different from us. I feel like that geographical barrier is removed, and you can find people that are different even if they come from a similar background. So for example, in Egypt, the majority of Egyptians are Muslim, and there are also Christians in Egypt, and these are the two major religions in Egypt. But when you're on social media, you come across a lot of Egyptians that maybe are not religious or maybe have a different religious orientation. And so I feel as a generation, if someone was from a different country, if they were to approach me and they were curious about my religious orientation, they wouldn't just assume that I'm either Muslim or Christian. They would instead ask me, what is your religious orientation? I feel like as a generation, we're just more curious as we are really used to people being different. And we are prepared to hear things that maybe are this is our first time hearing that. We don't just assume that, this person is this religion or this religion. Maybe it could be something that I didn't think about before. And so I think generally we're a generation that definitely asks more questions and makes less assumptions because we're just more curious as we're very used to difference. What do you think about this question, Mariana?
Sure. I mean, I agree with all you said. I think that we are mostly open-minded and we make questions, we are making questions before assuming. And obviously, I think that if I have to say it in a few words, I think that we are the generation that is not discovering anymore. We are more of confirming, because obviously the past generations were discovering about these differences and what we have in common between cultures and, between, even if we are in the same cultures, there exists a way different type of backgrounds and preferences and a lot of things. So I think that we're the generation that has already had, that information and is confirming that. Or maybe it's adding more information to it. So another thing that maybe I can share is that I think that we are with, the social media, with the platforms that we already have. I think that when we met someone, or for example, met something new, it could be a culture, it could be a person, we're already prepared. For example, when I went to Egypt, if I would be in the past generation, I wouldn't know anything about it. But now, and with social media, I've already known about what they hear, how, the language sounded, a lot of information, all because of social media. And I have all that information in just one platform, and I can connect, I can enjoy that experience more because I already know, what I expected from that. Obviously, I keep my open minded. I always keep, because obviously you see some things on social media, and when you finally, live it by yourself, maybe you can encounter a different thing. But it is not a completely new thing. We're already prepared with something. It could be quite a few information for it, but we already know, and meet the people. It could be, for example, when I went to Egypt, I watched a lot of videos, a lot of bloggers, a lot of information from it, and I already knew, a little bit of it. And obviously, as I know a little bit of information, I wanted to know more. And I started to asking questions. I started to say, okay, as you said, okay, I know, that it existed now a way, a lot of, for example, religions, ways of thinking, and like that. And I didn't assume, that it existed only one context. And I ended up there and, asking a lot of questions. So yeah, I think that the social media for us, it's our way to express, and it's our way to share with the world what does our culture, why our culture is important, why our culture is beautiful, and all about that. So yeah, I think that we're the one confirming and asking questions.
That's incredible. Thank you, all three of you, again, for sharing your experiences. I have so many takeaways from what you just shared. Sana, I love when you said that you make less assumptions, you ask more questions because you're so familiar to like different cultural backgrounds and everything. And also, Mariana, you commented on that. And also, thank you, Danish, for opening the floor on this conversation by how exposed to different realities, different cultures, different backgrounds, and also different languages you are by social media. And so how easy it is when you get there, when you get to not just by traveling, also like an intercultural experience on a digital program, for example, when you're exposed to other people from other cultures, how you just maybe just already familiar with you like that culture. So you want to ask questions, you want to know more. And as Mariana said, like you're not discovering, you're kind of observing and getting more information from them. So thank you very much for sharing this. Let's move on into our next question for our panel. And this is something that you also just mentioned on your comments. Gen Z, they're often described as proactive and impact-driven. Do you think did this experience shift how capable or confident you feel in creating change locally or globally? And what do you think your generation is teaching the world about global education right now? Anyone?
I can start this question. So I think definitely, yes, this experience did change how confident I am about creating change. I feel like I'm much more confident. I think that meeting people from so many different countries with so many different backgrounds that cared about similar issues that are happening in the world, that share these issues with me as well. There are issues that are happening in multiple countries, maybe in different forms, but they are still shared problems that we both or all care about. I heard their perspective on like these issues, and I feel like the world just became kind of smaller. It became less intimidating knowing that, I'm not alone in this, and even people from different places experience the same thing. Sometimes in the program, we would share like a problem, and we would try to come up with solutions, maybe in breakout rooms or in groups. And I would always get really surprised hearing how these people from different backgrounds would approach these like issues or problems. It's really eye-opening, to hear about how someone's culture or someone's background or someone's religion could affect how they problem solve. And I feel like that made everything a little bit easier. It made me think that really nothing is impossible. If I think that I can't solve it, then there's probably someone out there that has a different perspective, and I just need to hear it so that it opens up my mind and we can both come together and work on that. I think as a generation, we are more comfortable with differences, and we can embrace these differences and come together. We are really less afraid of admitting that we don't know something. And, I would ask my colleagues that are maybe in the same breakout room with me, what do you think about that? How can we approach this? Because I'm really stuck. And they would always like give me a solution that I really could not have imagined. So I think this experience definitely opened up my eye. What about you, Maria?
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm totally agree. I feel way more confident. It's not the same Mariana from 2023, from 2025. And, I feel more confident, as you said. And I love that quote that he said, the world feels less intimidating. I mean, we feel more real and we feel that we can achieve anything. For example, I want to give an example that just happened to me. I was sharing, this panel to a really good friend back in my university, and I was telling her, and I showed the cardinal that you said, that up here, the panel and you three, So I just shared that with her, and she told me, "Oh my God, the rest of the people, Facu, Jana, and Danish, look like that kind of profile pics that you search successful people in Google, and it appear like that kind of pictures, And she told me, but you look like you, That's why, the world feels less intimidating, because she's saying, oh my God, like you're there. You look great in your profile picture, but you're you, I know you, and that feels more real, and I can say that if you're with me and you're there, I can do it too, So that's the way, the world's getting smaller and smaller, and it feels that we can achieve anything. And with these opportunities, for example, and the people that maybe it's watching us, and the people that meet us already, they can say, oh my God, if this is happening, I can do it again. And I love, I know that I have said a lot of quotes, but I love, the quotes. There's a quote that I learned from IFS that literally changed my life. That is, small actions make big changes. That is something really powerful, So as Jana says, we feel, empowered enough right now to start by something, even not a quite big action, but start by something. And we're connected, and we are aware that if everyone, every single thought, every single person in the world can make a little small action, we're more conscious, that this can escalate into a huge, revolution. So yeah, I mean, this hyperconnection and this social media platforms, and even this opportunity that is through internet, because I'm talking through 3 other continents, and in just one platform, it's giving us the opportunities, to make us feel more empowered and more confident for ourselves in our actions. How about you, Danish?
Well, completely agree with what both of you just said, right? And and I think, like, because of us being really hyper connected, there really are a plethora of opportunities, around the world to do something. When we talk about creating change, right? There are a lot of different opportunities to do something. But in my experience, and what I personally feel is that people only lack the knowledge and tools to be able to create impact. They know that they can do it, but they just don't know how. Right, and this is where experiences such as global education, or any experience where you are you are talking to people from all over the world, where you are discussing, collaborating, debating, and trying to find a solution to a particular problem, and that's essentially what really gives you that motivation and confidence to be able to create change, right? And I, in my personal experience, the AFS Global STEM Academies is what really equipped me with the right tools to be able to create change. I'm a change maker by heart, and a engineer by passion, and I think this is something that I will always carry it with me, even if I'm not doing something at the moment. If I'm occupied with something else, this is something that I will definitely carry in the future. something that I would definitely want to do something in the future, right? And answering the latter part of the question, and what do you think? What our generation is showing the world about global education, and I would like to add off to what Jana and Mariana said, right? Like we are, less sensitive to differences. We are more open to asking questions and learning more about what other people think, feel, and know. And I think all of that circles back to us being really hyper connected, right? We're all exposed on the internet. We all know about each other's cultures, what each other like, what is the different food like over there, what is the different scenario, what is the vibe, right? So all these different aspects, right? And I think because of this particular reason, there's a less sensitivity and friction, so to speak, about global education. We are more open towards the idea of interacting with people all over the world, and I think in the end, we are showing the world that we are, us as human beings, we are slowly evolving to being more connected with the world. And, in a way, we are all becoming global citizens. Even if we're not consciously, thinking about that, right? We're learning about each other, and that way we start not just caring about our immediate communities, but the community all over the world. And I think that's what our generation is really trying to show the world, that we are evolving to be more and more connected.
Thank you all three of you for your insights. And also, it's coming to my mind right now that sharing your experiences when we started while looking for opportunities throughout the program, and also like what comes after, like what's the impact that this, not only the program, but also like going through this experience on this context nowadays, on this hyper-connected world, how it's shaping you. I think that it's also teaching a lot to not only previous generations or the generation to come, but also like to your own generation, to your own peers. As Mariana said, like seeing people just like you all, like being something more relatable. It's, I think, helping us understand how we can make this engagement, how we can make these intercultural experiences more meaningful for the generation that we are like providing the opportunities to, right? And the generation that after this, like, is also changing things and impacting not only locally in yourself, but also globally. Like, as Marina said, like step by step, like baby steps, like small things make greater impact. So also like hearing from your experiences is also very enriching on that area. So again, I'm very thankful for you for sharing this. And as we were talking about generations, one of the things and one of the questions that we were kind of building on with the team for you all on this panel is, okay, what comes next? Like thinking about the generation to come and thinking about the context that we are living in right now and the context that we are seeing for the generation to come and for the years to come as well. That is very related to, of course, the Gen Alpha, the generation to come, but very related to AI. So I would like to have a last question, and then we can move on to the Q&A. With AI exposing young people to more languages, more viewpoints, and cultural contexts than ever before, how do you think global education should evolve? And what balance should we strike between using AI as a tool for preparation and insight and preserving the human elements like trust, vulnerability, and real relationships that is still drive through intercultural learning? This is more about like what's yet to come, or like where do you think that global education is evolving, and how do you think the role of global education should be on a world where AI is everywhere? And of course, like more things to come that maybe we don't even know by now, or we don't even expect by now. Any of you would like to open your mic and just start the discussion? Feel free to do it.
I'd be happy to. So, okay, so I don't want to digress too much from the question, but I'd like to take this example of a movie that I watched over the weekend, right? It's the new Frankenstein movie, and I was watching the movie, really enjoyed the movie, and I was trying to understand what the perspective was behind the movie, and I stumbled upon this video from the director of the movie, Guillermo del Toro, and he talks about AI and art, right? And he mentions this very specific quote in his interview, and he says that, and this is again very specific to art, but nonetheless, I still want to mention it to draw an example. He says that the value of art is not how much it costs and how little effort it requires, but it's rather how much would you risk to be in its presence, right? Take for example, you want to, and again, this is the same example which he gives in the interview. There's the Starry Night painting by Vincent van Gogh, right? And let's say you want to experience this painting in person, then you would probably go to Paris, stay in line for 3 hours, in the queue just to experience this painting. But when you do experience it, you are monumentally moved by it, right? And I think that's what that's what really differentiates us from AI, right? The real one particular human value that really differentiates us from AI is bias, right? AI, the way it works is just, it's a really accurate, probabilistic generator. But us as humans, we learn to form a bias, right? Let's take, for example, I grew up in, a place where there's a scenic valley and there's a very beautiful river and there's just a very beautiful backdrop, right? And I learned to write poems about this scenario, and I slowly start, writing beautiful poems about this scenario. And this just goes to show that, this bias is eventually what led me to write that particular poem. And that's what led to people appreciating that poem, right? So, I think that's where AI is, I have to completely agree that AI is is a great tool to assist us, and no doubt that it's an amazing tool for any and all workloads that we do. And considering my background from computer science, I have to completely agree with that. But then again, the human values such as empathy or vulnerability or factoring in that bias that people have, that just isn't there with AI, and that's what really makes us different. And when it comes to how it affects intercultural learning, this is where being exposed to different cultures really makes you build all those human values much better. You already have empathy, but you're trying to learn more about empathy, how that impacts over different cultures, how one culture may be open to showing vulnerability, but the other culture may not be open to showing vulnerability, and how you deal with that particular scenario. So in the end, I think it's all these human values that really differentiate us from AI, and goes to say we are still different, and we will continue being different. And AI, will be a tool, at least for the near future.
Thank you very much, Danish, for your insights. Sana, Mariana, would you like to add something onto what Danish shared?
Sure. Okay. I completely agree too. And I think that I know that maybe this can be seen as we're just sharing, our experiences, but that experiences are the ones that, built us. And that's what we got, that we are not experts in this field, but I think that our experiences are the one, built the persons that we're now, and we are the ones that are here. So again, maybe an experience that I can share and I have learned about it. I went to a Huawei conference not quite long ago, and there was some this exposure, and there was a girl in the audience that in the QA time just raised her hand and asked this question that maybe all of us got in mind but couldn't say it out loud. And she just asked, are we going to be replaced by AI? What do you think? What does Huawei think? I really want to know about this. And he just answered a really impressive, in a really short way. He said, we're not going to be replaced for the AI, but we are going to be replaced for the people that knows how to take advantage of it. So again, these values, that characterizes are not going to be replaced. the empathy, as Danish just said, empathy, transparency, honesty, creativity, a lot of things that comes with you, as being humans, as being persons, are not going to be replaced. That's what make us us. And for example, what do I think about AI? It's an impressive tool. I think that it is what it is. It's our actual situation, and we don't have to be afraid of it. There's a lot of, for example, in my school, they punish, this usage of AI. And I can understand, because there are some people, that replace their brain by the usage of AI. But that is not, the objective of it. If we use it as a tool, it will be so powerful for us. Because, and just why we don't have to use it, and to replace it ourselves. It's because AI was made for someone. All that information was written by someone, and that person that wrote that has biases, has an exact way of thinking that it could be way different from what we think. So that's why we don't have, we still have to think by ourselves and to express by ourselves. Because, for example, it wouldn't be the same way as how, for example, the most popular one, ChatGPT, thinks about when he thinks, talking about the river, as you said, Danish. It would be the same way how ChatGPT think about a river as I do. If I'm a creative people, and if I'm an artist, I can think a river one way, maybe a painting, I don't know. And the ChatGPT would think it another way. So if we'll stick, with one thing, there won't be diversity. There won't be different perspectives. There won't be different ways, of seeing the world. So that's why using it just as a tool would be the best thing here. And
thank you, Mariana, for sharing. Sana, yeah, please.
I totally agree with Mariana and Danish. AI is a very useful tool, but it should definitely stay like a tool. It should not replace real human experiences. Like Danish mentioned, AI can be used to be more prepared when you're walking into a new cultural context. So, for example, you can learn about what is like a complete no in a specific culture, so you don't do it when you're going there. But I think you mostly learn when you're there, when you're in that experience, but you can use AI as a tool for preparation. But I think AI would never, ever replace that human experience. When I was doing my program, my first AFS program, I think this program really completely changed my life. And it wasn't because of the things I was learning, but because of the people I was interacting with. Like hearing their stories, hearing, for example, when we were in breakout rooms, sharing personal stories or sharing issues that we deal with in our communities. I feel like hearing that girl, that person, she's a real person. She has hobbies. She has like a lot of experiences, and she's sharing that part of her with me. I think that AI would never be able to replace that. And I think that this is what changed me as a person. This is what made me who I am today. And that could never be replaced by AI. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all three of you, for your insights. I think that we all agree in the sense of like AI is a tool, and like we, the people, we are the ones who also like by sharing, by collaborating, and also by impacting the world in the way that we do, and the way that you're doing it. That's something that is going to stay at the same time that AI is going to stay. And at the same time, I'm hearing like the importance of intercultural experiences with a lot of organizations on how to make these connections more meaningful. How can we navigate differences with more curiosity, with more empathy? We're still going to need that, and we're going to need that more than ever. So I think that these sort of intercultural experiences will play a more impactful, important role on the years to come, since we're going to head over into a more complex, maybe, world. Thank you very much for your insight. Thank you very much for your experiences, and also for your comments on this subject. It was very, very, very inspiring. I believe not only for all four of us, but also for the audience. We have some time to do some Q&A, so I'm gonna very quickly move there. And thank you everyone who submitted your questions. We're delighted to see all of these questions on the Q&A box. Okay. Norris Bejo asks, what do you think is the reason that not all your peers are motivated to experience an intercultural exchange? What do they tell you and feel about it? And finally, how do you think we can reach more Gen Z people and actually make them decide to engage in one intercultural program? Feel free to think about this question. And if you already want to add a comment on this, feel free to open your mic and just jump in.
I think that not all of them are motivated to experience an intercultural exchange just because they're scared. Like, I think Mariana shared a story about how her parents were very they were very skeptical about that opportunity. I feel how we can kind of counter that is by making real people share their stories. I think AFS has a lot of videos of participants sharing their experiences. And when I show that to my friends, I always tell my friends, go apply to the programs and, go experience that, because that experience for me was amazing. I want them to experience that as well. So I show them these videos and I tell them about my experience myself. And I feel like when they hear it from real people that they know, maybe even personally, like they know me personally, so they trust it more and they are more confident that, that this is not a bad thing, that this is something good that they should experience. So I think definitely utilizing the participants that are real people that took part in the program to share their experience, maybe testimonials, is a great way to do that.
Thank you, Jana. Danish?
And I think I definitely have to agree with what Jana just mentioned, right? I think sharing stories is what really helps people, eventually get motivated. But I think the underlying cause, or rather the factor over there is, trust, right? Building trust. And I already, in a way highlighted this on my first question. I spoke about how, on social media, you're creating content where you're trying to get Gen Z to discover that, such programs exist, and these programs can help you learn so much more. And I think, speaking from, very, a Gen Z perspective, I think it's definitely sharing experiences from the people who have already experienced it themselves. Talking about what was new for them, what was a fear that they had, but they went there and they learned about it and then they overcame it, right? And sharing all, both sides of the coin, the good side and the bad side, will eventually help Gen Z get the bigger picture, right? Get the complete picture. And when they get the complete picture, that, in a way builds motivation for them, that, okay, this so-and-so person did this, they learned this, and this seems very interesting and a lot of fun. And, that would eventually, motivate them. And I think it's also very important to consider that, opportunities which are all work but no play are not really much of motivation for Gen Z to apply. It's then how are you really differentiating with what you are already taught in schools, right? You need to be having something different, something new, something that people haven't already experienced, for them to be really interested in that particular opportunity. And if an intercultural exchange program, explores different, aspects of learning in the context of, intercultural exposure and, global citizenship, and even if it's a STEM-related program, then definitely people would be, more motivated to apply for the program.
Thank you very much, Danish, and also Sana, for answering this question. We'll love to have more time to answer some of the amazing questions that we receive on the Q&A box. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time. As we move on, I really want to thank you, all three of you, Danish, Mariana, and Sana, for being part of this panel. I will also like to thank the audience for being here with us and also sharing all of your questions. All attendees will be receiving a digital badge acknowledging their participation. You're free to share this badge on your social media as well to impact on more people. please fill out a small, brief survey that I will also be sharing right now on the chat to everyone. And you can also scan the QR code. We really appreciate your feedback and making our AFS offers better, and also for this webinar and more international education weeks to come up in future years. What's next during AFS International Education Week? This is our very last day. We have one more session coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. This is local time, New York. Community colleges and access to global competence learning opportunity. So we encourage you to join us in that session as well. If you want to learn more about AFS Educational Framework for Active Global Citizenship, please visit afs.org/education. If you want to know more about the AFS Global STEM Changemaker Initiative, the one that Danish, Jana, and Mariana took part in some years ago, this is a full scholarship award-winning exchange program for students and teachers worldwide. We encourage you to visit afs.org/global-STEM, or you can also scan the QR code here on the screen. If you want to learn more about the 31st AFS Youth Assembly coming up next year in Geneva, Switzerland, please visit youthassembly.org, and you can also scan the QR code here on the screen. Thank you very much for joining us. You're free to contact us at valearn@afs.org, also following us on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Thank you very much to all of our panelists. This was a very, very not only honest and transparent, but also inspiring conversation. So we really want to thank you, all of you.
Happy to be here.
And thank you to
Please.
you for giving us the opportunity.
It's an honor. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye, everyone.
much.
Thank you.
See you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.